And every single time you swipe your card, they're making 2 to 3% on that. American Express, the fees are super high. They're like 2%. That's why a lot of people don't accept American Express credit cards. Yeah. But stuff like Wells Fargo, they might charge 1%. And this is not to you, this is to the merchant. And so that's how credit cards companies are making money, because you're using their money to pay for shit and they're charging the merchant. Right. And so because they're charging the merchant, they're able to give you rewards for quote unquote free. And those rewards are credit card points. And if a credit card company has partnered with a cruise line, a vacation line, then you can use those points to then do things that you want to do in your free time, like go on a free cruise, like go to a hotel in another state, in another country. And that's why I like to call it a game, because you're literally purchasing things that you were already going to purchase and getting points. And if you're smart and you strategize, you can maximize the amount of points that you get with each expenditure, and therefore do more things throughout your life that you want to do. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Uncle Carlton, co-host of the Two Black Kings podcast. Xavier, what's up with you, man?
What's good, kings and queens? My name is Xavier Greer. I'm also the co-host of the Two Black Kings podcast. Thank you for joining us this week.
The Two Black Kings podcast seeks to inspire a generation to equip themselves with tools to navigate life. We will be discussing topics such as financial literacy, pop culture, and relationships from the perspective of two Black kings.
Here on the Two Black Kings podcast, we want to bring you different perspectives from some of the highest achievers within their fields. While the guests we have on the show do not reflect the ideas of the co-hosts nor the companies we work for, we believe in providing you with the knowledge, tools to take your life to the next level.
Before you do anything, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Send it out to at least 5 friends and follow us on Instagram at Two Black Kings.
All right, let's get into this week's episode.
And what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Uncle Carlton, back again with another episode of the Two Black Kings podcast. Xavier, what's good with you, Robin?
What's good? Man, I'm peacock proud and I ain't happy right now.
This man said, are you not happy?
I had to get low this past week. So, yeah, everything is good. Job's going well. We're probably on the slower end of stuff. Yeah, I had my knee over this past weekend. We actually went out.
Oh, it was the same one that we played the game with?
Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. But and yeah, so it was a chill weekend. Well, aside from that, it was chill.
Yeah, I didn't really do much this weekend. Actually, matter of fact, I do have an AMI trip. No cap. I had a crazy weekend. I'm not gonna say no names in it though, because I'm not trying to be in trouble. But I wouldn't call it crazy. I would just call it stupid.
I've been stupid this weekend. When the road, I was not here from this weekend. I was like, this man is.
Bro, I was so mad. I wasn't talking to nobody. I'll talk about that in the weekly experiment though. But yeah, who the king of the week?
Yes, sir. We got the king of the week, bro. One reason why I like this man is because he's not talked about enough. Dame Lillard.
He's
71 points, bro.
Hey, bro, do you think he's a top 3 shooter ever?
He definitely top 10. I give him top 10.
I'm going to give him top 5. I mean, he's scoring 71 points off stepping back and jumpers from half court, bro.
Yeah, no. I thought
if you would have won a championship.
I saw one highlight where this man just stepped across the half court and just threw it at it. I was just like.
And he's shooting them just like regular jump shots. That's his part to me.
So, I mean, then I put him top, if I'm thinking top 5, I'm already thinking Steph, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller.
We're not going to include Clay in there?
And Clay will round out the top 5, yeah.
That man has the most 12 3-point games in history. How you hit 12 threes in a game? That man is open. Like, they're open at this point.
Yeah, the Splash Brothers. You couldn't paint that like
what was that, 2016, 2015?
Yeah, 2016 team. Oh my God. That was just before they got KD.
It was a stupid team. Like, the team was stupid, bro.
73-9, like, yeah, they deserve it. So, but Dame Lillard, back to Dame Lillard. See, this is the why Dame don't get the shot he need, because like Steph, never done. So yeah, we're gonna give Dave his flower and what here.
Yeah, if you don't know what happened, because I know a lot of women watch the podcast, Dame Lillard scored 71 points against, I don't even know if it was the Rain, the Houston Rockets, last night. And so that's crazy because it's the second most points ever scored. I mean, 2 or 3 people have hit 71, but no, actually third, because Will Chamberlain had 100 points or whatever.
He had 81.
That isn't 100 points. Just that record should honestly be scratched up. That's silly. That's literally a silly record.
No, but still, to score 100 points is impressive.
But I mean, the league at that time, he was so tall, he was just catching it and just laying it up.
But regardless, to do that 100 times, because there was no 3-point line at this point. So he scored 100.
So he got 50 buckets.
Have to be, and he's getting fouled like most in summer. So yeah, it's still 100 points at the end of the day.
But I just feel like it's so ugly, bro. But you're right, it is 100 points at the end of the day.
He's just tall.
Yeah, man. So what's the book of the week, bro?
Yes, sir. So we got the book of the week. So this week, the topic is around credit, but we're also going to talk a little bit about just navigating through social situations. And so I thought, what better book than How to Learn Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Like, when I tell you this book is like, it's law. Like when I read it, it was stuff. I really love books that when I read it, I can apply the stuff that I'm learning, like immediately, like in my relationship.
Oh, so you thought it was like really practical?
Yeah, very practical. Just about like getting to know people, and we're gonna get in this later on in the second half of the podcast, just about navigating different social situations. But I love when it talks about it's just asking people questions, rather than like when you're in a leadership position, just not telling people like you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, but actually like letting them think for themselves. But that's when we get like the most benefit, or from your team or so.
Word. I haven't read that book, but I definitely need to.
Oh yeah, I want to read it.
So I'm gonna add that to my book list. Let me write that down.
Yeah, that is a must read. Like
how
for everybody. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So I guess we'll get into the in my tripping part of the podcast. And so Xavier, first off, I feel like you need to do more of these MI trips. You need to go live life, bro. Because
would you? No. Because I have a lot of MI trips, but it's like I'm not going to trip. I think that's what it is.
This man said that he's not going to trip. What do you mean you're not going to trip?
So like when certain things happen in my life, and like I don't know, let's just say it doesn't go my way, I don't be tripping about that shit. I just be like, it is what it is. Like, but when the girl like, don't take me back. Like the one trip where I was paying $60, that was one of those moments where I was just like, I really had to check myself. I had to see like, did I really just pay 60 and I laugh to laugh at my face? But yeah, so I had
and that segues perfectly into my tripping, because I was actually sitting there while I was in the pool at like 5 a.m. contemplating my life, like what am I actually doing here and why? So I'm just gonna say I was by myself, so I don't get so it was just me. I was out at the club on a Saturday night, and we're chilling at this bar. I'm not gonna name the bar. We're chilling, and me and one of the guys that I met at the club, he was like, "Bro, let's go talk to this group of girls." I said, "Okay, bet. I'm with the shits. Like it is what it is. I'm not scared to go talk to girls." And I was, a little bit, had a couple drinks in me, was feeling the type of way. So I was like, whatever. So I go and talk to these 3 groups of girls. It's just 2 of us, but we're talking to 3 girls.
right.
It's the classic weird function though, because there's 2 cute ones, and then you got the busted one. She wasn't busted in her face. She was actually cute in the face. She just didn't have no type of body. So I definitely wasn't going to talk to the busted one. But I went up to a girl in an orange dress just because my last name is Orange, and I was just like, oh, this is a smooth thing to say. Like, so I went up and started talking to her, because this is gonna go into the how to like navigate social situations. But when she came up the steps, like we had this bar that has upstairs. Now I'm upstairs. When she came up the steps, she looked at me looked me up and down, and then kept walking. You know how girls be doing that shit when they check you out. So I was like, okay, this girl clearly liked what she saw because she sat there and looked at me for a minute. So I'm gonna go talk to her later. I'm not gonna be too thirsty. I'm gonna wait, give it a couple seconds, I'm gonna go talk to her. So that's exactly what I did. We chopping it up. Make a long story short, we leave her. We link up with other girls that night. And they just friends or whatever. And we over there playing basketball. We ended up seeing them at another club that we were at. We was like, oh, okay, so these girls either following us or it's coincidence. And so we go talk to them again, and we end up at their apartment. Not the apartment, at their hotel in downtown Austin.
See, at these shits hotel.
So it's like 2 a.m. We at the hotel. We chill. Like, that's what you let's go to this after party. I'm like, yo, like, I'm not really trying to go to an after party because they were trying to go to the Cut, which is on E6. And me, I had been to the Cut before after hours, and it was 100% not worth it. I had to pay $60 to get in. And I didn't have fun. Everybody was just on drugs, and I don't really do drugs. So I was just sitting there and like, why am I still up? So I was like, no, I'm really not feeling the Cut. But if they wanted to go, I would have dropped them off and I would have dipped and went home. But they ended up BSing, and they was like, let's just go up to the pool. So we up in the pool. It's like
Already tripping. I can be tripping from this point from the 2 a.m. to I'm at the hotel. You tripping for real.
So we upstairs at the pool. We upstairs in Omnia or whatever, and we're chilling in the pool. And they're playing. They're like, oh, let's get in the pool, but we don't have any swim trunks, so we're in our underwear. Everybody's in their underwear. One girl took her whole top off and was just in the pool with no top and underwear. And so we're just sitting there, and I'm like, bro, what is going on? Because like this isn't really what I expected. But then again, it's 3 a.m. at pool, so we just playing. And they're like going around, they're flirting or whatever, and they're playing Truth or Dare. They're playing whoever.
3-on-2 at this point. Or it's a children.
It's an unfair situation. Let's put it like that. And so let me just paint you a picture, right? So it's this nice pool. Nobody's upstairs. We're at the top floor of a hotel in the middle of downtown, so we can see all the buildings, and it's just us up there. And they're playing music. We're playing Never Have I Ever, Truth or Dare. Tell me why 2 hours passes and nothing has happened. And so I'm looking at my fingers. They all prickly and stuff because you know how water makes your fingers like all weird. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there. I'm like, I looked at my watch. I'm like, bro, it's 5:15. What are we still doing here? But the girls were not trying to have us leave. And so, make a long story short, we never end up doing anything. But we didn't get home till 7 a.m. Like we got home and the sun was rising. I was like, what are we doing out here? Like, what was the point of this? Like, there was nothing. The worst part is when I left, like, I had to leave meanly. I was like, bro, I'm just going to leave because what are we still doing? And they're like, why are you leaving? Bitch, it's 6 a.m.
Hey, bro. Hold on. So she says this with her top off. Oh, bro. Yo. Nah.
So the am I tripping for spending that much time down there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I'm like,
bro, and when you text us, because I wish I could have seen this text message from Sean, but bro, it was trouble. He was just like, can't speak, 6 a.m., still up. It is wrong. It's like, there you go.
And the thing about it was, I went to sleep at 7, woke up at 10. That's probably why I'm so tired today, matter of fact. Because I ain't getting no sleep all weekend. That's what it is, bro.
Yeah.
I'm tripping.
Bro, matter of fact, I actually do. I have one. and no one gonna kill me.
Ooh.
But so we had this party. And so how do I phrase this? Okay, so we had this event that my trainer brother throws. And so we pulled up. There was a couple girls in the section, so I pulled up right beside them, just so. And so what? And they look like ratchets. So I ain't gonna lie, I was
they for the streets.
Oh, 100%. But I was just I was drunk and I was like, let me be entertained. So 100, I'm entertained. And so I got my Neo with me. And so there was this girl, the girl was sitting across from us in the booth. And so I'm leaning over to my Neo and I was like, oh, bro, I still want to go over there and talk to her. But like at the same time, this girl over here is feeling me. So while she's feeling me and like we talking or whatever, we played, the other girl is like, we're singing. So whenever we say songs, like we were like lock eyes. And I was like, oh, so I told Noah, so the girl sitting right here and I was sitting right here. I told Noah, I was just like, yeah, bro, like, I was like, bro, I need you to go over there and talk to me. Bro, you have to say, yeah, you go ahead. So I was like, okay. So time passed. But I don't know if y'all never heard of Mario. So he was at the club. So he was performing or whatever.
Mario was at the club, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, everything.
Bro, changed everything.
Honey.
Did they get very pretty? Okay, anyway. So Noah was just like, he was just like, hey, bro, I'm finna go there and talk to him. I was like, all right, hold on. I'm trying to wrap it up with this girl that was beside me. I was like, look, give me a sec. So he gets up and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be there in 5 minutes. So I see that
It's up to 5 minutes.
Look. So I see this man and he goes over there and he's talking to the girl, you know. She started laughing at his jokes and like started hitting him on the open. And I'm like, that's what I just told this man that I wasn't gonna talk to his man. He's talking to him.
No, you tripping. You were supposed to move. You tripping.
Bro, he said, oh, okay, let me finish. So I see it and so he's talking to the girl and so while he's doing this, while she's like rubbing on his man horse, he eventually gets her number. And so when he's getting her number, he looks at me and he's like, come on, bro, come on. I was like, why would I come over there right now? Like, you know, when shit,
Line with finding friends.
She had her friend right beside her, so that we were about to do the 2-man, but find out that the girl that was sitting over beside her was talking to the other dude that was like buying the hook.
Oh, hell no.
That was like, I heard this on him trying to get her, so I was like, all right, it was a boyfriend, so. But, bro, okay, but this is am I tripping? I need you to answer.
Okay.
Am I tripping? Because me and my other fraternity brother got into a big argument about this because he was on what you're thinking. He's like, hey, you should got help. You should went out with that shit. Well, really, like, how it went through in my head, it was like, all right, she's showing him action. I'm already over here. If I go over there, it'll just be a 2-on-1 situation. And like, that's just doing too much. So am I tripping for letting my Neo just get the girl? Like,
Whoa, letting your Neo get the girl? No, you're not tripping because he went and earned that shit.
that's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is, you was already chopping it up with a chick.
But I was shooting close with this shit.
Why didn't you just wait? You already closed with that chick. I thought like
I was being close. That's why I told him I'll be over there in 5 minutes.
what? So you hadn't got her number yet? Is that what you mean? Did you get her number?
The girl that was sitting right beside me?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
So what were you doing with her then?
I was trying to establish the conversation. We were still flirting back and forth because she was dancing to the little Mario shit. Let me live. So
Oh, y'all had locked eyes and you just started talking to her?
yes. So I'm talking to the chick right beside me, and then I see Noah over there, and I'm just like, it was just a bit awkward. I would have to eat.
It would have been awkward because you damn near just got the conversation. You'd be like, okay, hold on, and then she would have saw you talking to another chick. That would have been super.
And then it would have been a 2-on-1 on the other chick, and she would have been like,
and you were already talking to her, so there's no reason for you to get up and do a 2-on-1, which is even more awkward. And then you would have had no bitches.
yeah. So I stayed on my liquid tissue chick, bro. Yeah, I wouldn't try to like, get a number or anything and take it back. I would just
Nah, fuck that. We need to be getting these girls' numbers, not to even text them, just to see if we could do it, bro. That's it. And if we just want to text them, we can.
I mean, I'd rather just get your social media because, like,
You know what, bro? I was gonna ask, like, is it better to get an Instagram or a phone number? Because half these folks don't save phone numbers, and I'm included. So if I have somebody IG, I'm like, oh shit, like, she did text me, or like, oh, this is what she looks like. I had forgotten, type stuff. Okay. 10-4. Okay, so that was a huge segment. That was like 15, bro.
Man. So yeah, I wasn't tripping. I knew I wasn't tripping at the end of the day. I wasn't going to be extra.
Yeah, it'd have been extra. I mean, we don't be trying to do too much in the club anyway.
Right.
But it may
Definitely don't know who we go. I need to hear the super details about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you these. I just cannot say it, bro. I just cannot say it.
Okay. So you
Questions from the viewer. Yeah, let me hit that up. What did you mean last week when you discussed secondary market investing within real estate? So let's start from the bottom. Just in case you didn't listen to last week's podcast, I talk about the secondary market and how you can invest in real estate. So when you are trying to invest in real estate, what happens is you have a bank that kind of finances, unless you're paying for a house with cash or some real estate in cash, which no one does pretty much, you get a loan from the bank. And what that means is the bank gives you money up front and you take that money and pay a upfront fee, basically, which is called interest. That's another word for it. And so how does the bank obtain these funds? Well, you have borrowers on this side and you have savers on this side. Savers are me, Xavier, whoever's listening to this podcast. We have savings in the bank right now in our checking account, our savings account. And borrowers are, people like me and Xavier as well, who are borrowing money from the bank. So we're both borrowers and savers at all time, pretty much. But you have more savers than you do borrowers. That's why you have more money than you do. Actually, I guess we have more debt, but that's another point. Anyways, the bank loans you this money and you pay interest to fund the bank. There's also other ways the bank makes money, but let's just keep it very simple. Yeah. So what happens is, because the bank wants to continue to contribute to a capitalist society, and because they want to continue to give out loans and make more money, they need a way to recoup the funds that they just gave out. If I buy a house for $500,000 and the bank gives me that $500,000, effectively the bank has $500,000 less it can give out now. And so in order to combat that, what the bank does is sell your mortgage on the secondary market to other investors like me and Xavier, and we buy those, they're called mortgage-backed securities, right. MBS. We buy those mortgage-backed securities and we're able to basically purchase the risk from the bank, and the bank can go then, and it might have made $550,000 from that transaction, and they can go and give out $550,000 more dollars. So let me say that again, because I know it probably went over a lot of people's heads. So like I'm explaining to a 5-year-old, you have a bank, you have borrowers and savers that put money into this bank. You have borrowers that ask for money from the bank, and the bank gives them that money for the interest fee. And after the bank gives out that money, it effectively has less money now. And in order to recoup that money that it just lost by giving you that loan, it sells that mortgage on the secondary market in the form of a mortgage-backed security, recoups those funds, and is able to now go give out more loans. That's how our society works. That's how real estate works. And so how can you invest in the secondary market? It's very easy. You can buy mortgage-backed securities or commercial mortgage-backed securities, or you can invest in REITs. That's the 3 main ways. You could go build your own building or purchase a building, but that's another type of real estate investment that is very high level because you have a huge barrier to entry, meaning millions of dollars in equity. So that's something that we'll talk about a little bit later when we get a little bit higher level. But for the purposes of this podcast, you have mortgage-backed securities and commercial mortgage-backed securities in REITs. And you can invest on all those on the quote-unquote stock market, but it's called an exchange. And it's just an exchange traded fund. It's just in the form of a mortgage-backed security, if that makes any sense. And we can do for the purposes of this question, that's where I'm going to end it. But we could do an entire section of the podcast where I could show you how to invest in mortgage-backed and commercial mortgage-backed securities, also REITs, because it's really not hard. You just have to kind of know what you're looking for.
And I know I was going to say, so the viewer that asked that question, I also had like an extra just caution. So back when everybody experienced 2007, 2008, recession, a lot of that was because of these investing in the secondary market within real estate. So you had these mortgage-backed securities that have, so to make it simple, they have a rating. So A obviously is the best rating that you can get for these mortgage-backed securities. What's the lowest? I forget.
Shit, like double D or something.
Yeah, it's like D is probably bad. So, and what they were doing was giving home loans to people that couldn't afford their mortgages. Right. A lot of people foreclose on these loans. And so because of that, these businesses were still rating them A. And so when people invested in them and then come to find out that there's nothing behind them because people aren't paying their mortgage, that's when it all collapsed. So historically, mortgage-backed securities have been like a very risk-averse investment vehicle. But just because of that, people have been a little bit weary of them. But I would say real estate is one of the more consistent, one of your wealth, but definitely one of the most consistent ways to gain wealth over time.
I think that's an excellent explanation. I'm just going to say it a little bit different way because this is kind of how my brain thinks. This is how I learned it. So everything you said about 2008 was completely accurate. The way how I'd say it is, you know, if you invest in a mortgage-backed security as an investor, but the people who are paying those mortgages can't pay like their rent or their mortgage for that month, then effectively you're purchasing something as an investment and getting no money in return. And so that's what was killing the stock market, because investors were purchasing these mortgage-backed securities and getting no money in return. And like that basically is why everything crashed. So
let me ask you this, because I also talked about this. I think with this upcoming student loan thing that we could be somewhat in danger of that happening again. And I'd say that because, one, I don't think these student loans are going to be free. I think these folks are actually going to make these folks pay. And you never had to pay a student loan, but from what my brother and my mom told me, it's like 200 something. You know, when it gets really bad, it's like 1,200 something a month for like these student loans. And so like when that started, because people haven't paid loans in 3 years, when that started kicking in, I think, and then you have so many people getting laid off. This is another thing that I'm like starting to see is like a lot of people with the tech jobs. Yeah, a lot of people moving to San Francisco, Atlanta, you know, buying homes. I saw this one story about a dude buying a home and then he loses his job, so now he can no longer pay for the mortgage. Yeah. So yeah, what do you think about with that? You know, coming up. I
think that a recession is on the horizon. We have a market update pretty much every week at TCB. We had one this morning at 7:30 a.m. And we're technically by, you know, I guess whatever the ratios say we're in a recession, but it doesn't feel like that simply because, you know, the economy is not, you know, completely trash. So it's like a different kind of recession, but based on like the yield curves it's like inverted. So So that tells us that we're in a recession. But in terms of, you know, just student loan debt, I don't think that it's even possible to forgive all the student loan debt. I mean, that's like $2 trillion. And if you were just to say, oh, look, like we're not going to pay these colleges money, or we're gonna have the government pay the colleges. First of all, our taxes would.
What about bailouts? Like I feel like if they get bailed, they'll get the banks out.
Okay, but think about what a bailout does. Where does the money come from?
I mean, don't you the taxes? I mean, so.
Well, even that, like you would just have to print more money. We're trying to fight inflation.
Yeah, true.
Or there's a lot. Interest rates would go like a lot would happen because you would have to get those funds for somewhere. And America's already $20 trillion in debt, or whatever the number is. I don't know what the number.
But see, the only alternative is making these souls pay for it, knowing that they can't pay for it.
Right, which is why, you know, a lot of people, there's no solution to this. There's a trade-off, but like this is why I guess when people ask me where they should go to college or what they should major in, I'm like, do something that you can afford. Because if you go into college with no plan to pay off your debt, then like that, I feel like that's another problem that needs to be addressed first before we just say, okay, you made, you know, not a bad decision, but a decision that wasn't optimal. we're just going to forgive you for it and let you move on. That doesn't really happen all that often, if ever. I mean, I guess it does happen, but not on a huge scale like this. So that's what I think about that. But the last thing about real estate, historically, real estate has done better than bonds, but worse than stocks in terms of return. But in terms of risk, it is more risky than bonds, but less risky than stock. So that's why people like investing in real estate, because you can get more money per year than you do a bond, but you're not, taking on all that risk you would in a single stock.
Right.
So.
How was it? It was a hell of a lesson.
Man, we getting into the lecture. We're trying to have these guys right, bro. We're trying to have them right, bro. Because if you could understand the little pieces, the little building blocks, then that's when you can really start adding to your level of game. So, what is credit and why do you need it? Xavier, do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can introduce it.
Okay. So, one thing I'm really passionate about is about credit, and let me tell you why. Because when I was younger, my parents said, don't get a credit card. You can't get a credit card, or like credit cards are bad. I don't even think it was my parents, to be honest. I just think it was like the connotation for credit cards. It was always negative. And I was trying to figure out why, like, people are giving you free money. Why is that negative? But I realized exactly why it's a negative, because people do give you access to money that you don't need.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. So we already talked about borrowers and savers. We already talked about how the bank gets money. So what is credit? Credit is basically transferring wealth from a saver to a borrower for a fee. And that fee would be interest, as we already stated. And so why does the bank do this? Well, the bank does this because they can make significant income. And that's how I make a living. That's how a lot of people make a living that are in the banking industry. And it's pretty much how the economy runs, because, the Fed does this all the time with their treasury yield and treasury bonds. So credit. Why do you need credit? Well, if you want to pretty much finance anything, whether it be a house, a car, your soft water,
Salt water.
or whatever, then you're going to need some type of established credit. And for a house, it's going to be a little bit more of a lengthy process, because you need probably at least a year or two before the bank trusts you with no guarantor. So credit is very important, just because if you have a good credit score, it pretty much frees up your options to do whatever you want in life.
Yeah. I would say, if I could define credit, is money that you don't have, but that you can make in the future. So a lot of credit, what a part of credit is the bank is wanting to know, can you as a borrower, do you know how to handle money? And so there's a couple of things that people usually, because I had the same like upbringing where, credit cards are bad. You shouldn't have them. You should at least have one. And it should be your gas card. You should only use it for gas. That was the only thing that I was told about credits. But just for, if you're just now getting into credit, you're just now getting out of college. Here's a couple of things that I found out that they measure credit on. So the first one is payment history. You always want to make sure that you're 100% with your payment. And when it comes to prioritization of how important these different factors are, payment history is probably like number one on the list. They want to make sure that, when your bills come due, that you can pay the loan. Because if not, you become a risky borrower. The next one is the average age of your account. So I think one thing that I benefited from what my dad taught me about credit is he actually opened up a credit card in my name when I was like very young. I would say like, maybe 12 or 11.
High level game.
Yeah, high level game. Like, so, people listening with children, if you want to take credit card out of their name and then use it responsibly. And this is everything we say goes back to the whole use responsibly. Like, we always have to go back to that. So the average age of your account. So you really want to see that, okay, this person has this amount of money and they have been extending this amount of credit for, say 4 or 5 years. Once you get to the 10-year mark, that's when you're, in the good standard. That's when people are more apt to give you more money because they see that you can, take care of it for a long term. The next one is how many inquiries that you actually have on your report. So what an inquiry is basically a business or let's say a car dealership or a lender is trying to give you money, but they need to see what is your quote unquote credit worthiness. And that goes to the whole credit score. Credit worthiness is how well does this person know how to handle their debts, and can they pay them off in more time? So hard inquiries would be something like how we did with our houses, where a lender needs to check your bank statements, and just making sure that who you say you are, that you have the money and will have the money in the future. So you have hard inquiries, and then you have something called soft inquiries. And then Rashawn is going to get to this a little bit later, but soft inquiries is when you apply for, a credit card, a store credit card, anything like that. The next thing, so far we have payment history, average age of account, and then inquiries. The fourth thing I'll give you is credit usage. So with credit usage, let's just, for man's sake, we're going to start with $100,000. So you have $100,000. So you want to keep your usage of your credit card. I like to keep it ideally below 10%. That means if I have $100,000 in credit, I'm not going to borrow more than $10,000 on that line of credit.
Period.
Now that's being very risk averse, that's being very responsible. If I'm just saying like a hard cap, and like I would say 30%. 30%, that's when you get to $30,000 and you just like, all right, I need to chill out on using this card because credit bureaus start to see that, okay, what is your credit utilization rate? And they're going to see, okay, this amount, you're using $30,000. How do you, unless you're making $100,000 or, 150 plus, can you cover these debts coming due? Mm-hmm. So that's what we have for 4. And then for 5 is number of accounts. And so this is counterintuitive to what our parents taught us about how you should only have one credit card. You should really want to have enough as you responsibly can handle, because what you do, let's just say you have one credit card, then you open up a second. So we had $100,000 on the first one, and then we have $50,000 on the next credit card. So now we have $150,000 of the line of credit. So when people
LOCs,
that means line of credit. So $150,000 that you have an availability to. And so what you want to do is basically increase that number the more you have. And that one of the few ways that you can do that is getting more accounts.
100%. That's a great breakdown of all. Like, there's nothing else to say about it. Like, that's just a great breakdown of what a credit card is and how they determine your credit score. So I'm gonna go ahead and move past that to what, like, at the soft inquiries. I'll talk about the soft inquiries. So,
and it's your credit strategy.
Right, my credit strategy. So one of the things that I recommend that parents do or people do is you start your credit card journey off with it's like what is those credit cards where it's a secured credit card. That's what it's called. It's a secured credit card. So what that is you go to the bank. If you have no credit history, like for me, I went to Wells Fargo with 0 credit history, and they denied me because I had no credit history. And so I was like, what? And so what I had to do was actually go into the bank, show them that I was a student at Texas A&M. I'm just trying to build my credit history. And they gave me a credit card with the $1,200 limit on it. But most people don't do that. They just see the hard no, and they say, damn. So what is the next step? Well, you can go into your local bank. You can go to a Bank of America, a Wells Fargo, a Discover, has great ones, and you can get a secured card. So what that means is let's just say you put $500 down on this credit card. Then you have $500 you could spend on that credit card. So it's pretty much a debit card, but you're building your credit at the same time, so you have some history. So, after 6 months, you can go and say, I've done great on this secure card. I haven't spent more than, $500. You show the bank, okay, you're somewhat responsible with money, and then they'll give you an unsecured credit card, which is what a normal credit card is.
Right.
And so that's the way I would recommend building it. In terms of credit card strategies, I have a credit card strategy, but it's on a pretty high level. I'd like to think of this stuff in levels because I'm very video game oriented. But level 1 would be a secure card. Level 2 would be a basic unsecured card. Level 3 is when you start stepping into like the Apple card or like a card that actually gives you some type of benefits. Yeah. Level 4 would be American Express. Level 5 will be American Express 2 or Chase. And it just goes up from there. And so the reason why I have so many credit cards is because I have a strategy with it. I like to maximize my expenditures if I'm going to spend the money anyways.
Right.
So what does that look like? So for me, I have the first one I'm going to show you, and this one doesn't have a number on it, so I think we should be good. This is the Built credit card. So what is this? This is actually sponsored by Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo owns Built, and it's a MasterCard. And what it does is it allows me to pay my rent on this card, and it's tied to my Wells Fargo account. So it just all automatically transacts at the same time. But because my rent is $3,000 plus, I'm able to get 3,000 points every single month. And I could transfer these points 1-to-1 with American Airlines, Delta, Southwest, and some other airlines on there. And so effectively, after I've, what is 12 times 3? 12, 24, 36. So that's $36,000 a year, roughly, in rent. That's 36,000 points. That's easily a free flight. Plus, I get 3 times the points on food. And if it's rent day, which is every first day of the month, all the points are doubled. So it's 6 times. Then I get, all those points added. So easily, if I'm doing the math correctly, I can have 70,000 points in expenditures, 60,000 points in expenditures without actually doing anything different. I just have 2 free flights per year that I could use just off using the Built credit card.
So explain the whole flight thing, because if I've never had a credit card, I only had a whole point.
So what happens is when you have, and we're going to talk about the welcome bonuses a little bit later, but when you have a credit card, the whole reason for it is credit companies like American Express, like Wells Fargo, like Bank of America, they want to make money. That is like the baseline. So how do they make money off credit cards? Well, they give you a credit card, and every single time you swipe your card, they're making 2 to 3% on that. American Express, the fees are super high. They're like 2%. That's why a lot of people don't accept American Express credit cards. Yeah. But stuff like Wells Fargo, they might charge 1%. And this is not to you. This is to the merchant. And so that's how credit cards companies are making money, because you're using their money to pay for shit, and they're charging the merchant. Right. And so because they're charging the merchant, they're able to give you rewards for quote unquote free. And those rewards are credit card points. And if a credit card company has partnered with the cruise line, a vacation line, then you can use those points to then do things that you want to do in your free time, like go on a free cruise, like go to a hotel in another state, in another country, like, do a whole bunch of stuff that you couldn't really do just because you wanted to, but because you have these quote unquote credit card points, then you can't. And that's why I like to call it a game, because you're literally purchasing things that you were already going to purchase and getting points. And if you're smart and you strategize, you can maximize the amount of points that you get with each expenditure, and therefore do more things throughout your life that you want to do. And so I just told you about the Built card. The next one, and this one is probably the most important one, is this American Express Blue Cash card. So this is what it looks like. I pay for all my gas and my groceries with this card, and I get 3% cash back on all gas and groceries. So if I spend, $100,000 on gas and groceries, I would never do that. But if I did that, I would get $3,000 back on that card every year. And so that's why it's so good, because it's like effectively I'm getting gas and groceries 3% off every single time I go to the grocery store. And so so I got food, rent, gas, and groceries covered. So all my necessary expenditures that I have to make every month, I'm getting money back for it. So if you're making those expenditures and not getting money back at this point, then your ROI is not as high as it could be, your return on investment. So you should maximize this type of strategy if you want to maximize your ROI. So my third card is my Amex Platinum. And I rarely use this card, but when I do use it, I use it on travel. So what I had the Amex Gold last year, which I used to use for food. And I've accumulated about 175,000 points on the American Express app. And with those points, because I was buying food, buying random stuff, and there was a killer welcome bonus on this card, I was able to accumulate 175,000 points. And with that, I can use that in combination with the Built points. I can get the flight paid for and then I could pay for the hotel with my American Express. And 175,000 points will give me a 5-star hotel for about a week. So that's something that I love with American Express. I mean, the welcome bonus was if I spent $4,000 on the credit card, I got 80,000 points. Yeah. And I timed this up when I moved, so I just bought my, my refrigerator, all my furniture. Yeah, and so I was able to spend $4,000 of money that I was already going to spend and got 80,000 points for it. This is what we mean by synchronizing your life, playing the game, and having a strategy, because we're playing chess out here. I was thinking about how I wanted to go to all these places. How can I get there without paying $2,500 for a flight, without paying $8,000 for the hotel? Well, you use it during credit card points with money that you're already going to spend. So that's the American Express Platinum card. And I'll show you this one, but I don't really use this one much yet. I'll just show you the back. Actually, I'll just tell you because the number's on the front. But it's a Visa Chase credit card. It's a Chase Inc. credit card. That's my business card. That's for the Seek the Knowledge. Right. So that's what I have for that. And my last one is my catch-all card, I call it. And it's just my Wells Fargo Active Cash card. And what I do with this one is if it's not in the category of food, gas, groceries, or anything essential that I already have for one of these other cards, like travel, I'm just buying clothes, I get 2% back on all purchases. Right. So if I'm just buying clothes, buying random stuff, right, I just get 2% back. And one more I would throw in there, but I don't really use it because it's like not a card, it's just like an account. But I have an Amazon credit account where like I can get 3% back on all my Amazon purchases, which is great. Or it gives me the ability to finance things over 12 months. And so, if you really get smart, I wouldn't say start off with 6, 7 credit cards, start off with one, but, do your research and you can really find out how you can get, added value from purchases you were already going to make in the first place.
Facts. I was going to, I just need to emphasize that point because I think that is the point of being responsible with your money is the point that everybody needs to get over that hump, even to get to these like rewards points. Man, I was talking to my brother about it because it's funny that we, brought this up as a topic. And like I've been talking about this past few weeks, but I don't think people are there yet where they can say like, oh, let me just put the $8,000. I mean, my rent, $3,000 on my credit card, and I just pay it off. When it's just like, but I feel like once I started learning about credit card, I was like, money is not for me.
It's not. It's not real. That's what people don't understand. Money is not real, bro. It's just a tool, literally.
Yes, and that's what you have to treat it as. And so once you have to see money changes in the form a lot. Because once I start to get over the hump that, oh, I gotta pay for this bill, or oh, I gotta pay for I changed my thinking into let me change this form of cash into an asset. And so if you're buying more asset like cash generating assets, you're not necessarily losing money. When you're buying depreciating assets and you're not putting your money towards what you need to be, that's when it could be detrimental to like the savings. So I think the first step is that's
crazy level game right there. Yeah, crazy level game.
The first step is to really find one thing that you want to be better. So whether it be groceries or whether it be a gas card, I always start with those two first. So whether it be a gas or grocery card, you swipe it, and then at the end of the month or whenever I usually do, whenever I get paid, I just pay off the whole thing every single time. And
that's the habit you got to get in.
And that's why once you get into that little habit of one or two cards, you can be like me and Rashad, where you have 6 cards and you're like, all right, in my head, I'm going to go eat. So let me get my Chase. All right, I'm going to get flights. So let me get my Delta and Sky Mile. Like, and then you start to organize your life into that synergistic feel of like everything is just working
for you, bro.
Bro, it's working for you. And so we're talking about with the points, like it's just so helpful.
Bro, and I wanted to harp on that point because I didn't talk about it, but it's honestly the most important part. When you start off, create a routine where you pay off your credit card every month. You should not be carrying over a balance. Now, there are some situations where you get higher level into the game where American Express or Chase might offer you 12 months, 0% APR. And if you're trying to finance a big purchase, you might be able to pay, you know, 6,000, 12 months, 0% APR financing. And what that means is you can go in, purchase something for $6,000 and then divide it by 12 and pay that per month at 0% interest. And that's because American Express is just desperate for people to be in their community because they're making money per swipe, like we said. So there are some situations like that. But for me, I started out with one card. It was the Wells Fargo Instant Cash card, like I said earlier. And all I did was purchase food on it. For like a year and a half, I just purchased food. And I just got in the habit of purchasing, and this is in college. I got in the habit of purchasing food and paying it off every single month. And I was, you know, accumulating cash from that. Sometimes I get a free meal. Sometimes it come in handy because I was hurt. And I was like, oh shit, I got $40. I could just get gas right here with this $40 to keep it moving. And so I got in the habit for a whole year. So now when I have all these different credit cards, I'm no longer thinking, oh, I have $22,000 line of credit on one card. Let me spend $22,000. Like that never even comes in my head. I wish you guys could see my line of credit. It's actually kind of stupid, but like, I'm not thinking about that because for the longest time, I ingrained in my habit, okay, do this, do that, pay it off.
Yeah. So, and what I was going to say, so there's multiple benefits for having a credit card. So we already talked about one. We already talked about benefits. You can get sky miles. You can get points to go to flights. Sometimes people use the points for buying tickets. Another benefit is what's called a balance transfer. So we talk a lot about interest, and basically the interest is the fee for borrowing the money that you had. And so sometimes you can get into a bind where, and this is where shopping around trying to find the best bank, you know, comes in handy, is because, you know, let's just say you have Chase over here with an interest rate of 10%, and then you have American Express with an interest rate of 5%. What you could do, and there are some cards that are out there where it's called like balance transfer cards, where you can move the money that's over here gaining 10% interest every month, rather than move it over to another bank where it can only gain 5% interest, and so you're saving some money through that. So that's beneficial.
100%.
And another thing I wanted to talk about, and I actually just learned about this probably 2 weeks ago, I'd say a month ago. Okay, the difference between a charge card and a credit card.
Oh baby, I love this one.
So basically, how I understood it is a credit card is something, you know, you establish the line of credit, and it's something that you can pay over, you know, over month. Obviously, you know, that was what Rashad recommended, where you just pay it off. You don't really have a balance carrying over. But let's just say you had a big purchase. You buy a couch, it's $500, and you want to pay for that over the next 6 months. Okay, so even though it's gaining, it can gain interest each month if you're paying with a credit card. Mm-hmm. So what happens with a charge card? So a charge card, for example, is like my Amex Gold. And so what a charge card is you pay for it, and you have, I think it's like a month, you know, from that moment to pay that completely off. There's no like waiting and, you know, just paying it over the next few months. It's like, all right, we need the money within a month. And I had to learn that. And this is something that, like, if you don't learn, you will pay for it. You will have a charge card thinking it's a credit card, and then you have an increment or a negative payment mark on your history. They will charge you quickly because you're like, oh, well, I got more than enough time to pay it off. And it's just like, no, you have to pay it within a month. So I can't tell you, like, my credit is 100%, like, but it's just important to know, you know, the difference between a charge card and a credit card. I would more so, if you're just now getting into the game, only stick with credit card.
Do not get a charge card. Do not do it if you're just getting in the game. Don't do it. Yeah. Don't even try to do it. Because first of all, you couldn't even do it if you wanted to, because American Express requires a credit score of like over 680 for just the basic cards. So if you don't even have a credit score, then there's no chance. But that's a great point you make, Xavier. So just to say, like, the platinum card and the gold card are both charge cards. And this, this blue cash, this is a credit card. And the reason why people would get a charge card, the real main reason is because you can make stupid purchases with charge cards. And so what people do, like if people were to get the Amex Black card, that'd be a charge card.
Yeah.
And you could go go buy an $80,000 car and just swipe your car. And American Express will 100% let you. It'll collect the 2% from that $80,000 in funds, and it'll be like, okay, you pay it back at the end of the month. That's what they'll say.
Yeah.
But the reason why people get charge cards is because you could spend pretty much in whatever kind of money you want to spend.
And there's no limit.
There's literally no limit. There's no limit. But with, the credit card, they're always going to give you a $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 limit. So that's one of the main advantages, quote unquote, to a charge card is you can spend however much money you want.
Yeah.
But for me, I'll use a charge card, but I'm sticking to the credit cards mostly because I like the way they operate.
Yeah. And I also want to touch on one more thing before we leave this subject.
For sure.
The whole what you should be looking for now that you're in your 20s, like basically kind of some goals that you can have. And I wanted to explain the cosigner as well. It's just for people that are just establishing their credit or have little to no credit, you have what's called a cosigner. And so what a cosigner is let's just say you want to buy a car, you're in college, you don't really have the money. You can get a cosigner, so a person that will sign for you. They have to see their bank statements, have to see their financial position to make sure that they can actually co-sign for you. So I would call it the unfortunate thing about co-signer is if the person that they're co-signing for no longer is paying for let's just use the car, for example. They're no longer paying for this auto loan anymore. Then it goes to the co-signer to pay.
100%.
And so they are 100% liable for those, those things. So just so, just more information to know that. I would say for your 20s, aim for, in the 650 range is where you should be if you really want to be like competitive and actually get like, the higher paying cards with the rewards and stuff. And I would say at least have like 4 or 5 different accounts and making sure that you have these accounts over a long period of time, because not only do they grade you on how many accounts do you have, but how long have those accounts been. So I usually try to open up a few accounts at one time. So I hold 3 accounts at one time.
Right.
And then just making sure you're paying on time every month. I think payment history is the number one getter for people. So yeah, just stay on top of that.
And yeah, one thing I'm going to add to that, credit goals in your 20s is don't try to keep up with the Joneses. I've fallen victim to this, but if you get a credit card and try to keep up with the Joneses, it's a horrible mix because you're going to be like, oh, I do have $10,000 on my Apple Card. I could buy these J's, but you don't have the money in your bank account. So effectively what you're saying is I'm going to pay it with future money, and you don't know if future money is coming in. And so that's how people get caught in the trap, because they're always thinking, I'm getting paid next Monday or next Tuesday, and they might not get paid. They might get paid less than they thought they were. And so now they don't have the money to pay for these Jordans that they've already purchased, and you're not taking it back at that point. So don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Like when you get a credit card, try to stay kind of situated and realize that people really don't care what you wear a black t-shirt and a nice chain, and you're going to be the freshest dude in the party. Yeah, that's it. And so you should aim for 625 plus 100%. But if you're really smart and do it right, you don't have to go below 700.
Yeah, okay.
You don't have to. So, yeah.
Recession.
That was like high level on credit cards. We could go so much deeper, but I think that's a good starting point because it honestly gets a little bit complicated the more you go into like how they calculate interest and all this other stuff.
I was gonna say we can get this part out, but I was saying we should probably do navigating social situations next week.
Probably. So we're already at an hour, man. I don't know.
We ain't no rate.
Bro, this is crazy level game. We're just giving out first to bro.
Man, for free, bro.
For free, bro. Yeah, we're gonna go in because if we try to do it right now, we're gonna really shortchange this, and this is really important.
Yeah,
and so yeah, we're
talking a lot, just a little bit more on like the credit stuff and just
Oh, you want to talk? We can keep going on credit, bro.
Yeah, okay.
Let's do it.
Just ending like 5 more minutes in there.
Yeah, let's do it. Perfect.
So yeah, it's very important that you are consistent with your budgeting. I would think the first thing to do is just establish a budget to how much will I allow myself to spend on credit cards or anything like that. At the end of the day, it is free money, but if you can't buy, like, I think I want to say it was Jay-Z that said, if you can't buy it twice, don't get it. So, like, if I can't pay for that joint twice, then yeah, I'm definitely not getting it. And so yeah, if it's,
I feel like for me, what developed over time is, and it's gonna sound weird because I haven't really thought about this, but it's like a reasonable meter. Like, if something is reasonable for me to purchase, I might purchase it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, if I have $200 laying around and there's something that I like for $60,
I just
I just be like, you know what? It's all good. Like, we're not saying be stringent with your money. We're saying be reasonable. That is really all we're saying. If you have $200 in your bank account and these Jordans are 210, please don't buy the Jordans. We've been there and done that.
don't get them on a credit card. Do not.
Not, bro. Just don't do it. Because we've already done that. We've been down bad with no money. And that's just, there's no reason. Because you know what? After you get the Jordans or whatever you purchase, you still not going to get no girls. That's the craziest part. That's the craziest part. And do not. And if you spend your last dollar on women, you're not a king.
Yeah.
We're not a king. Yeah. So that's what I have to say about that. Bro, let me go into one of the drawbacks for credit cards. We've already talked about kind of overspending, but I like to go into the interest rates and the store card. So for interest rates, they're calculated on a weird basis. It's not just like an APR percentage where you could just say, oh, they're charging me 7% for this month. No, it accumulates on a monthly basis. So if you divide 7 divided by 12, that's how much you're getting per month. And you would think the numbers would be the same, but because of compounding, the numbers are actually different. If you're getting charged 7%, you're really going to end up paying 8 to 9%, just because if you think about it like this, just say I have $10 of interest or $10 overdue on January. The next month they charge me, let's just say they charge me 100% interest. The next month I have $20, but they're charging me the 100% interest on the $20 now instead of the 10. So now it goes up to 22, and then now it goes up like that. So instead of paying 100%, I'm now paying 120%.
Yeah.
That's how interest gets you, because it sneaks up on you. You don't even realize how it got there. And so that's why so many people are bogged down in the trap, because they don't understand how the interest rates are working. And if you really want to like get into the nitty gritty, you can hit me up on my social media, Uncle Carlton, or you can call or text me and we can have a conversation about how interest rates works. But store cards are even worse, because with a store card, let's just say you have a Kohl's credit card, and you purchase something on a line of credit at Kohl's. Let's just say you purchase a mattress or a bed, and it's $1,000. Well, you can make, let's just say you finance it for 6 months. You can make whatever 1,000 divided by 6 is. What is it? Whatever it is. Let's just say you make those payments, but you miss a month. Let's say you miss month 11. Well, instead of charging you interest for that 1 month you missed, now you have to they're charging you interest for the entire 11 months. And that's what the trap is with store cards, because they're super convenient because you're in the store, you get discounts, blah, blah, blah. But if you miss any interest payments, they're charging you the entire interest over that time that you financed it for. So you have to be, that's why I personally don't have any store cards, because American Express does not do that for me.
Yeah.
But I personally don't have any store cards. I turn all the store cards down simply because I already have lines of credit, and I know that about their interest rates, and I don't want to be caught in that trap, because for me, I have so many credit cards that I might miss like a payment to where American Express reminds me, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll just pay it. But the store cards, they're not going to remind you, so you just got to be cognizant of that.
And just know that it is a slow growth game. Like when it comes to building credit, like it's going to take some time. And so we talked about inquiries a little bit earlier, hard inquiries and soft inquiries. Those are things that can, ding your credit score, a couple of points. But just know that it's only going to ding it in the short run. So you may go down like 1 or 2 points. I think when they pulled my credit for a hard inquiry from a house, I think I went down like 7 points.
Nigga, I went down 30. He should have been very simple. Yes, but it quickly rebounded. It was I think it's because I was shopping and I got multiple hard inquiries.
And that is, and I think we talked about that in the Home Owning King podcast. But just know that when you're buying a home, stay away from. Well, if you're even in the mindset of buying a home within the next year and a half, stay away from any credit cards, any and all credit cards, because you're going to see all your financial history from the last year, 2 years. So be very mindful of credit when you go to buy a house. But yeah, so can you leave us with a couple a nutty?
Yeah, so as you could tell, me and Xavier are really passionate about this type of stuff. We love finance, we love money, we love helping people. And so anytime we can do that, we obviously specialize on financial literacy. I like doing the more practical stuff because when you get to the Excel sheets, it really doesn't make sense. So I could talk about credit cards and credit strategies and, financial strategies all day. But what I would leave you guys with, on the podcast is one, money is not real. Money is a tool that you use to do the things that you want and be with the people that you love. So you should treat it that way. You shouldn't be in love with money. You shouldn't be, you should chase money, but the money that kind of chases you after a while. So that's one of the first things I would say. The second thing is start up your credit history, sooner rather than later, so you can, work into a routine where you pay it off every month. I would say start off with a secured or unsecured, a small unsecured card, and just have one expense that you put on it every month so you're able to manage it and pay it off. So that's the second thing. Once you get into the higher level game, then you can kind of expand into your different branches, what you like, what you don't like, shop around for different credit cards. Chase might offer you benefits that you prefer over American Express. For me, it was the other way around. So it's not, there's no one set strategy, whatever works best for you. Kind of understand how the game works. That's really the most important part. Understand how the money game works, and you can do things that you never thought you were going to be able to do.
Hey, high level game from high level game, bro.
Man, so that's been episode 8 of the Two Black Kings podcast, Credit Wars. Don't look at it negatively. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.